Yeah, which is why I don't love focus groups. I'm sorry to the world because I'm saying that publicly now because it's all post rationalization and unless you run it in a very creative way, and again you do some of this sort of lateral projective exercises so that people really really think through and are not pressured by the group think, and it's really difficult to get to these big aha moments in these sort of really controlled environments. But it's also, you can't always go and sit at a bench and listen for 10 hours. So I think that's our job as strategists. Same for business, not just human insight, but like, how do you listen to a client and how do you really dig deep to understand what is the true challenge of an organization and how can you help them in return solve it in a way that's going to be meaningful.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you approach those moments where you've got that insight and you kind of understand the audience a bit better? What do you do then? How do you approach that when it comes to sort of the engagement, the experience, and the business side of things?
Yeah, I love that question because I think a lot of brands, and I get it, right? I mean, you're driven by profit. So you're looking at that experience through the lens of sort of optimizing your touch points or touch point optimization. How do I make this moment better? And that usually means how do I get you to a sale quicker? And that's B2B as well, right? So how do I get you to pick up the phone, or how do I get you to close the sale, or at least put me in your consideration set, all that stuff. But the thing that we put in between that equation is brand. And by that I mean it's not just about the human motivation. And again, human can be a bit, what does a business need if you're selling a business service? What is the human motivation? And then, yes, of course, what do you want at the other end? But what does the brand stand for? And is that moment really helping to evolve that idea that you're selling as your brand? Because if it's not, it might still get a sale, but it's not driving that long-term growth. And it's not actually an investment in the brand then. It's just a very good sales strategy. So what I think sometimes happens, especially in, this year we're in, which is sort of this weird, are we in a recession or not? Everyone says we're not, but then everyone's acting like they are, and everyone's sort of pushing their dollars into product marketing, lead gen, bottom of the funnel. And again, absolutely, you probably have to do that. But then you have to really consider, like, what is it doing long term? Is it hurting, what you've tried to build? And if it is, then you have to really rethink how you do that, sort of that push to make sure that it's driving that. And it's hard because it requires a lot of discipline and you have to make a lot of choices. And sometimes maybe you're not getting the best return on investment on a specific channel. But you still have to do it because it's an ingredient to that longer term growth.
Definitely. So what's something that you see a lot of businesses getting wrong when it comes to their product marketing and that sort of thing? What's something that they struggle with the most?
So I want to say this without offending people, but I do think sometimes clients and brands think that lower funnel is, hit me really hard with your best offer. And that by offer, it could be your best features, it could be claims, it could be obviously, discounts. I mean, that's how it works. Like at the top of the funnel, it's brand building. In the middle, you start to introduce obviously the product benefits or the service benefits, to make sure that I get it, right? Like that you're building that rationale for why me. And then that bottom of the funnel is meant to close the sale. And absolutely it is. But you're not necessarily going to close the sale by saying I'm 20% faster, because no one knows what that means. Do you sit there with your phone and go like, let me see if you're 20. Oh, I'm going to go for the one that's 22%. That one definitely, like that 2% really did it for me. So I think we have sometimes categories that speak in features and claims, and I don't know that that's how human beings understand information. I mean, it's been proven and said over and over again that we as humans understand information in stories. And that's why, some people that tell data stories in a compelling way, you're like, holy crap, like that's extraordinary, because it makes you understand something really complicated, but it's because they're telling you a story. So that's kind of like the thing we really try to think about. And we do a lot of that sort of product marketing, lead gen, like, again, like really driving sales, but through that human lens. So if you think of, in the words of our purpose, how do you create a better human experience? That's how we think of that sort of lower funnel communications. Like, what is a better human experience for you as a person on the other end? If it's B2B, who, you're putting your job on, on the line, if you're going to decide to go with this vendor or that vendor, or this partner or that partner, what does that look like for you? And what is the emotional and the functional requirements as well? And when do you introduce what? So it's more thinking, because it's more about the system versus one-off. So you really have to think of this as a group of pieces that get you to that point. And then if you design it as a system or as an ecosystem, then you, in a way, like, it takes the pressure off, because you can say, like, okay, this is what this piece has to do, and that's okay. This one just has to gently ease you to the next conversation. You don't have to go hard. This one's where you go 25%, 20 times bigger than X, because connected to the Y. And then the third, so that's when you think of it just from that behavior change model, it changes how you do it. And it becomes much more effective.